Hi, and welcome to your Humber News Update. I'm Trisha Chan, coming to you from our newsroom here at Humber College North Campus. Here's what we're working on at this hour. Canadian journalist Mohamed Fahmy has been released on bail in Egypt 10 days after his Australian colleague was deported. The courtroom broke out in applause as the judge freed Fahmy on over $40,000 bail. He was sentenced to 7 years in jail on charges of helping a terrorist organization while reporting for Al Jazeera. His Egyptian producer was sentenced to 10 years on the same charges. Egyptian authorities accuse Al Jazeera and its staff of being a mouthpiece for the Muslim Brotherhood. Fahmy's fiancée expressed gratitude towards the Egyptian court.
I would like to thank my country that I love for doing the right thing. I'm very happy. And it's time for me and for Mohammed to be relaxed.
He had joint Canadian-Egyptian nationality until he recently renounced his Egyptian status in hopes of getting deported back home. There's an agreement to end fighting in eastern Ukraine starting midnight Sunday. The leaders of Ukraine, Russia, France, and Germany agreed on a ceasefire after all-night negotiations. Ukraine's president says he didn't give in to ultimatums to surrender, but instead negotiated an unconditional ceasefire. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the leaders agreed to remove heavy weapons from lines of confrontation. The Chancellor of Germany says Putin pressured Ukrainian rebels to agree to the ceasefire. The President of France says there's now real hope for Ukraine. The captain of the Costa Concordia has been sentenced to 16 years in prison for manslaughter. Captain Francesco Schutino became known as Captain Coward for his role in the death of 32 passengers in 2010. The court found him guilty of abandoning ship when passengers and crew were still on board. He crashed the ship into a rocky reef, then jumped into a lifeboat while hundreds were still on board. Survivors say they did not receive emergency drills before their Mediterranean cruise. In the world of sports, the Raptors head into the All-Star break on a high note, and Tiger Woods takes a leave of absence. Turning to weather, there's some chilly days coming. Today we'll get all the way up to -11, but it'll feel like -22. We'll have all of these details and stories coming up in our 2 o'clock newscast. But for now, we leave you with this. A truck driver in central China is counting his lucky stars today. The brakes on this truck failed while he was driving on a downhill section of a highway. The driver veered into a wall to keep from crashing into other vehicles. He and his passenger escaped unscathed. That's your 12 o'clock update. We'll be back with more Humber news at 2.